Record. Okay, welcome everybody. Gonna do a quick training video about getting started. And I've got Jeff and Benjamin on the call with me, so they may have some questions since they're both at this point of getting started. And realistically, with Mass Mobile Apps, we offer a couple of opportunities. We offer an opportunity to be a reseller. We offer an opportunity to be a sales rep. And really, when it comes down to it, when the rubber meets the road, that's when you actually get out there and you're talking to customers. So in either instance, when you're really getting started is when you're actually out there talking to customers. Lord knows there's stuff you got to do to get ready. But I want to talk about day number one, what to expect, the things that you need so that you find yourself prepared. Step number one, the pitch book. Obviously, as a reseller, you're going to customize it to what you're going after. Some people get into this business and all they do is go after car dealerships. They stay in one industry. Some people are just going after schools. And if that's what you're doing, you're going to want to take the generic pitch book that you're starting with that you can use to go after any industry and customize it to the industry that you're going after if all you're doing is going after one industry in particular. So obviously, with the pitch book, once you download it, my suggestion is that you have a copy of it that's printed. If you have an iPad, that's the best. You can stick it on your iPad. Then you're using technology to sell technology. And I think that makes a lot of sense when you're in front of the customer. It's just one of those unspoken things that just make sense. Obviously, if you're a reseller, you want to put your logo and your name in place of the logo and name that's already there. And just understand when you're out there with the customer, the sales presentation is intended to be basic. It's intended to be third grade. So when you're talking to your customer, you want to figure out where your customer is. And, is your customer super tech savvy? And are they sitting there completely bored thinking that you're insulting them? Or do they not know anything? I am going to use some of the pitch book no matter who I'm talking to, no matter what their level of aptitude is, because the way that we as human beings process, we process by hearing, right, by sound, we process by sight. So by them actually looking at certain pages in the pitch book, it gives you credibility, even if they already know all of that information. So I want to be able to share that with them, and you never know exactly, even for people that know a lot, you don't know what they didn't know. Like, I really knew nothing about apps when I first got into this game, and even if I knew about apps, I certainly didn't know what the average price is. So just going over the information about what the big guys are paying is something that is of value. Business cards are great. Some people work with business cards. Some people don't work with business cards. Either way is fine. I like the flyer even better than the business card because it has more information on it. It gives you an opportunity to actually transfer some information. Unfortunately, you can't just go out and wallpaper an area with flyers thinking that magic is going to happen. But when you do make contact with someone at that business, it is something great to leave behind as far as bridging the gap when you do get on the phone with the decision maker. But literally, it is just a tool. Expect that even if you left a flyer, you're still going to have to cover that information. But still, an important part of the process. And more than anything, it makes you feel comfortable. When you walk in the door, to have something in your hands is something that actually makes you feel comfortable and helps with the process. The contract forms, know your paperwork. I've had sales jobs in my time where we've had 10-page contracts that were legal size paper and, write hard, blah, 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 all that nonsense with lots of legal ease. I try not to make this any more complicated than it has to be. My approach is that there's no contract, right? So you're paying $1,500 or whatever the dollar amount is, and then you're paying on a monthly basis. And if you decide you want to stop your app in 3 years, 6 months, and 18 days, just give us a call or whatever, and we can turn it off. So I'm personally not trying to hold anybody's feet to the fire. Based upon your experience where you're coming from, you may feel like putting something in there. I feel like I feel like when it comes to the contract, my time is best spent helping the customer to make their app successful and to get X number of people to download it. Because if they've got 250 people that have downloaded their app, how in the world can you turn that off, Mr. Customer? This literally gives you a direct, instant contact to your customers, and it can be two-way communication when you look at some of the features that we have, like the two-way chat. So now that you've opened up this line of communication with your customers, you're going to shut that down? That doesn't make any sense to me. How are you going to explain that to your customers? So I'm really not concerned with having complex paperwork. I just want it to spell everything out. And one of the things we're going to talk about here in a couple minutes is when you're out there and you're negotiating a deal with the customer, I tell my reps, I don't care what the deal is that you make with your customer. Are they going to pay everything up front for the year? Are they going to pay nothing down and just pay monthly and have the main fee broken down over the month, $125 a month, so that it's paid for in a year? If that's how you want to do it, that's great. I don't care what you do. Just write it down on the piece of paper so everyone can see it and everyone can understand what the deal is. I've had customers whose mentality was to try and go out there and get every penny out of the customer that they could. If that's your mentality, more power to you. But I'm here to say, you got to understand who your customer is. You got to understand where they're coming from and what they're all about. I had a lady working for me at one point in time, pretty lady. She had blonde hair. She went out there. She met with this guy. She actually did a trade show, and she had this guy that had a company. He delivered water, bottled water, to people's homes. And you're thinking, wait a second, you mean the same bottled water I can get from the drugstore, the gas station, or the supermarket, you're delivering that to people's homes? He was like, that's what I'm doing. And he started talking about his church. And so we started getting the inclination that maybe this guy wasn't all there, but he was able to start a little business. He's supported by members of the church, and it works out great because they don't have to give him a handout, and they can support him, and he can be independent, et cetera, et cetera. So I told her when she went out on the appointment, just treat the guy like an individual. For instance, I've got pricing in my pitch book that shows a for-profit business at $1,500 and $100 a month. A nonprofit business, $1,250, $80 a month. An individual, so that's a lawyer, not a law firm, but a lawyer who's working out of his car. That is a barber shop, not one that's got 15 chairs with 10 barbers in there, but a barber shop with one chair and one guy, and you wonder how he's even staying in business to be able to pay his rent. That's sort of where this guy was. So you have to use your discretion. And I said, please, just go out there and charge him like an individual. What did she do? Did she listen? No. He was enamored with her beauty. She said $1,500 and $100, and the guy paid the money. You might even be going out there saying $1,500, or you might even be going out there saying $2,000 and $100, or $2,000 and $150. But I've got this special deal that takes it down to this price and this price. That might be how you're doing it. This guy would have said yes to anything she said. So they came up with a deal. They wrote out how the payment was going to happen. He was talking about how his check was coming for his taxes, and I was just saying no, 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 no. Sure enough, she sold him at the top dollar, and I would say within 90 days, he was complaining that he couldn't meet his financial obligations, and I told her to go out there and lower his price. So she went out there, she lowered his price, and like 2 months later, not only could he not afford it, but like we thought in the beginning, there was really no aptitude. There was really no application for this guy with the business that he had. I mean, how much bottled water does this guy have to sell just to be able to pay his $100 monthly fee? You know, some people are great candidates for apps. Now, look, I am not saying that you need to go out there and be the judge and the jury for your customer, right? It's not your job to understand whether or not they're going to get value out of having an app. The very first business that we sold an app to was a bail bonds company. And understand that I knew nothing about the bail bonds business and simply could not understand how a mobile app could be beneficial. What I learned is that a bail bonds company has a community. There are certain communities where you are living every day understanding that you might go to jail today. And if you live in a community and live a lifestyle where you might go to jail today, whether you did something or not, having a bail bond company app on your phone and on your mother's phone or auntie's phone or whoever cares enough about you to get you out of jail is probably a good idea. So after we sold that bail bonds company, we ended up in another bail bonds company, ended up selling them 4 apps, not 1, sold them 4 apps because they actually had 9 bail bond locations. So it really was not our job to say that an app was not a good idea for them. In fact, if you will go to your app store on your phone and do a search for bail bond companies, you will see, based on the type of phone that you have, that hundreds will come up on your search. I've had people over the years call me, "Hey Ken, do you think an app would be good for a chiropractor?" Why are you asking me? Go to the app store, do a search for chiropractors, and see if any chiropractors out there have apps. If you see that a bunch of chiropractors out there have apps, well then what does that tell you? It tells you that there's value for a chiropractor to have an app. And if you're wondering how they would use it, what you want to do, and this is for any industry, go to the app store, download 10 apps for that particular business or that particular industry, and with those 10 apps, actually go into each app and look and see how they're using it. See what the features are. I sold a group of 22 schools at one point, having no idea what I would put in the app. So I downloaded 10 apps for schools, and I started making a list of the features that they had. So in the first school, I saw they had like 10 different things, so I wrote them down. In the second school, they had 12 different things, but 8 of them were duplicates of what the first had. So I wrote down the new things that I saw. And as I went through each app, I basically came up with this long list of how these different schools from all over the country, all over the world really, how they would use an app. So when I went and got in front of the 22 schools individually to talk about what their individual features were going to be, I had this list, and I was able to say, from an educated standpoint, okay, in my studies, I can see that schools, all of them have their address, their phone number, the bell times, the bell schedule. They all have the bus schedule in there. They all have their lunch menu. So every one of them had those. So I think that's a pretty good starting point. And then from there, you've got some of them that have this, some that have that, some that have the other thing. So you can pick from that list a la carte the things that you would like. And more than likely, that will get you started. So as we talked about with your paperwork, we're back on the form under contract. Know your paperwork. The contract form, the credit card form. If you're a reseller, there's a list of things that you're going to need to get started: business license, your Google Play license, your logo, a website, your Apple license instructions. Because now when you go out and sell a business, that business, if they're getting a full-blown standalone app, they're going to need their own Apple license. You're going to need to have the Apple license instructions so that you can inform them of exactly what they need to do. Okay, so that's the first 3 things on the list: the pitch book, the flyer, the contract stuff. Now, let's talk about what is listed here as 3 industries, and this is really one of the most important things getting started. If you do this, you will have a runway to get started. If you don't do this, you will probably never get started because you'll be confused and you won't know what to do. And a confused mind does nothing. So let's eliminate the confusion. I know where I live right this moment, here in Cleveland, Ohio, in the midst of a snowstorm. I drive around and there are so many businesses. If I was going to get started day number 1, I would have no idea. If I was going to go to work, it's 9:08. I'm going to go to work. I go out, I get in my car. Which direction do I go? I have no idea. So here's how we're going to figure it out. Day number 1, you need to pick 3 different industries. Any types of business. Tattoo parlors, ice cream shops, dog grooming businesses. Pick any 3 industries. I don't care what. Unless you come from the automotive industry, I would stay away from car dealerships as the first place that you want to go, because car dealerships are executive level salespeople. When you go there and you're talking to someone, and you really want to know what you know before you start calling on car dealerships. So pick whatever kinds of businesses it's going to be. I don't care what, but just make sure there's 3. Now, if you pick one type of business, like I've had this conversation with hundreds of reps, and I've had people tell me, when I say, well, what are the 3 industries that you picked? Oh, I'm going to start with churches. And I'm like, great. So I start counting. Okay, 3 industries. Churches is 1. Okay, so that's 1, but you're supposed to start with 3. So what are the other 2? Well, I was just going to start with churches. Yeah, I get that, but here's the problem. Churches conduct their business in most instances on Sunday. So guess what day of the week they have off? Monday. And if you go there on Friday, you're not going to find anybody. So what are you going to do on Mondays and Fridays if all you're doing is calling on churches? Or you get the person that says, oh, all I'm going to do is call on restaurants. That's it. Okay, so who are you going to go see between 11 and 1:30 when they're serving lunch and nobody can see you? See, if you had churches and restaurants, you could go see the restaurants on Monday and Friday when the churches are not busy or they're closed. But you're still going to run into a problem when it comes to 11 to 1:30 on Mondays and Fridays, because now the restaurants can't see you. So having that 3rd industry that you can turn to makes all the difference in the world. Okay, hopefully I have convinced you of picking 3 different types of businesses. And those businesses could be pizza places. That's a great business. One of the reasons why pizza places is one of my favorite businesses to be starting with is that every single pizza place that you walk into, you can say the following. Hey, Mr. Pizza Dude, you don't have an app, do you? Nope. Well, guess what? All of your competitors do. They all have mobile food ordering. I'm talking about Pizza Hut, Papa John's, Little Caesars, Hungry Howie's, Donato's, Marco's, whatever. The big national, the big regional players, every one of them has an app. Every one of them has mobile food ordering. And you're sitting here thinking that the great, fresh, high-quality ingredients that you have are going to be the difference and keep you relevant. Well, I'm here to tell you, I really love good pizza. But as a parent, I also love convenient pizza. So if you can make your good pizza convenient, I will gladly patronize your business. But there's a reason why Little Caesars, whose pizza is almost inedible or unedible, you can't eat it. It's like cardboard. But you go to Little Caesars and that place is busy. And they also have pizza that is ready to go. You can just show up. I want a large pepperoni pizza. Okay, give me your money. Thank you. Here's your receipt. Here's your pizza. Have a good evening. So they know they have crappy pizza, so what do? They make it more convenient than anybody else. So I love pizza places because that is a great, it's a great selling point to be able to walk in there and have that conversation. We've had a lot of success with libraries. How's that for a shot? We've had a lot of success with local city governments, especially towns, police departments. One of my favorite, parks and recreation departments. Understand that a business or an organization, the value that an app has is it allows them to facilitate and improve communication that goes on between the organization, their employees, their volunteers, their customers, their neighbors, their friends, etc., etc., etc. All that stuff. We have literally sold a gym that, and obviously fitness centers, gyms, yoga, spas, all that stuff is great. But we actually sold a gym for kids with autism. We sold a store that sells hearing aids. I want you to think about that for just a moment. If you're a customer of the autism gym, if you're a customer of the hearing aid store, probably being up to speed on technology breakthroughs, medical breakthroughs, etc., 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 getting that information right away is probably of extreme value. So for those people putting an app together, it's almost like, I mean, it makes you feel a lot different when you're working with them compared to working with a bar, because you know that you're actually helping people. So, you know, when you start thinking about 3 Industries, you know, a lot of people get in and they start thinking about, I'm going to go after bars, I'm going to go after restaurants, and I'm going to go after whatever the other one is. But there's so many different things out there. Now, again, in the 3 Industries sections here, what it says, make a list of 3 industries, then you want to have 10 to 20 businesses for each category. So I'm going to do pizza, I'm going to do doggy daycares and pet grooming, I'm going to do tattoo. Great, I've got 15 tattoo places I'm willing to go to. I've got 20 pizza places I'm willing to travel to. I've got 12 doggy daycare places I'm willing to go to. Fantastic, add it up. Now what I want you to do is I actually want you to go out there. Of course, those names are written down. I want you to actually go out there and see each one of those businesses. And here's where the magic happens. When you get out of the car to walk into Joe's Doggy Daycare and Pizza Emporium, you go in there and see who you need to go see, do what you need to do. When you leave, before getting in your car, I want you to go next door. And then keep going next door, next door, next door. I want you to go 5 to 10 businesses up the street. I want you to cross the street. I want you to go 5 to 10 businesses back down the street. And when you do, you're going to look across the street and see the business that you started with. So I want you to keep on going and go 5 to 10 businesses in the other direction, and then cross the street and then work your way back to where you started. What that means is for every one of those 10 to 20 businesses that you've got listed in those 3 categories, right? You start with 30 or 60 businesses written down. You're actually going to go see 10, 20, 30, 40 businesses for each one of those businesses on the list. Literally, you will stumble into several businesses that you never even considered would be good businesses to go to work with. For instance, as I mentioned, Parks and Recreation Departments, the thing that is so amazing about them, number one, no one else on the planet is calling on them. When you contact libraries, hi, this is Ken calling from XYZ Mobile App Company. I was calling to speak with the library director. Is the director of the library there? Sure, just one moment. Hi, this is Jan. Can I help you? Hi, Jan. This is a sales call. Oh, I'm happy to have your call. I don't get many sales calls as the director of the library. So you're not going to run into 5 layers of defense mechanisms trying to keep you away from the decision maker. The guy that hooked me on to the concept of libraries, we were on the phone. He was up in Boston, and he says, "Hey, I'm thinking libraries might be a good idea. You know, up here we've got a library in every single town, and there's tons of towns." I said, "Okay, give it a shot." He calls me back an hour later. He said, "I just set 6 appointments." I said, "What?" "Yeah, I just set 6 appointments in the last hour calling these library directors. There were no defenses up whatsoever." I was like, "You have got to be kidding me." So, of course, after we had that conversation, then it was like, okay, libraries are a place that you should consider. So then after that, people started going and calling on libraries and having more examples of success. with the Parks and Recreation Department, the guy, and actually the same guy in Boston hit on those. So I told one of my reps about it, who's down in Savannah, Georgia, and what he ended up doing is he went and called on a Parks and Recreation Department in a little crappy little, in a crappy little town, like a little, not crappy, but a podunk town. And when he got them set up with a mobile app, they actually took the mobile app and they went out and they went fundraising. So let's see, they paid for the entire app up front for the entire year. And then after they paid for the app up front for the entire year, then they went out and they generated $4,000 worth of sponsorship money in the first month. Did you hear that? Yeah, okay. I'll say it again. Parks and Recreation Department. We're talking about Little League football, Little League soccer, Little League cheerleading, whatever. The baseball teams out there, what does it say on the back of the baseball team? Joe's Ice Cream Shop, Joe's Barber Shop, Joe's Doggy Daycare. They have been getting sponsors since the beginning of time for one program or one reason or another. So now all of a sudden, they have a mobile app. They go out to the people that they've been talking to about becoming sponsors who are on the fence, and they say, hey, not only are you going to be in the program and on the back of the jerseys, but we're also going to put you inside of our mobile app. Mobile app? Here's my money. Take my money. Take all of my money. $4,000 the first month. How long do you think those people are going to have that mobile app? Probably forever. It's a revenue generating tool, especially when the second year they're going to have to generate, or if they generate the same money, they no longer have to pay the upfront fee. Now they're just paying the monthly fee. So Parks and Recreation Departments, if it was me, that would be on my list of places that I want to be calling on. The neat thing about the first one that he signed up is that first one, when he went back to go follow up with the customer the next week, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, the customer says to him, hey, did Mary call you? Who's Mary? Oh, Mary from the city. I don't know Mary from the city. Yeah. Mary from the city is interested in an app for the city. Sure, I'll walk down the hall and go see Mary. Set up an appointment, sold Mary an app. Hey, I think the people at the water park would want to talk to you. Went down and sold the water park an app. Went to the elementary school and sold them an app. 4 apps, starting with one Parks and Recreation Department. Oh, but I'm not done. There's more. Because once this Parks and Recreation Department had the app, generated the $4,000, guess what? All these Parks and Recreation Departments are part of an organization. In Georgia, the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association, GRPA. Yeah. So this particular place goes to their regional meeting, and at their regional meeting, they're like, what? You got an app? Next thing you know, sales rep is going around and signing up one after the other. Next thing you know, it's a statewide thing because we went and did an app for free for the GRPA, Georgia Recreation and Parks Association. Well, Ken, why would you do an app for them for free? Because they've got 110 members. And that app we did for free got us a booth at their annual trade show. So now we're sitting there at the annual trade show as the mobile app provider for the state of Georgia Parks and Recreation Departments. How did all that happen? It happened by calling on the first one, providing good customer service, staying in touch, and in this example, it wasn't even asking for referrals, at least not in the beginning. It was asking for referrals after that. Yeah. So magical things happen when you go next door, when you make your 3 industries and you start going through the paces. Now, so we just talked about 3 industries as we're continuing down our list. And in talking about the 3 industries, we're talking about a names list, right? So it's important that when we talk about a names list, there are actually 2 names lists that you want to have. One names list is your 3 industries list. The other names list is you want to have a separate list of warm lead contacts that you've already developed in your life. Every single time I do an interview, when someone responds to one of our ads, I ask the same questions. Where are you from? How long have you been there? Why am I interested in that? Because if you've been part of a community for 10 years, 20 years, you have a favorite supermarket, you have a favorite bakery, you've got a favorite dry cleaner, maybe you've got kids, and you have experienced businesses that are in your community as a consumer. Well, you know, there's a lot of dry cleaners in town. I can actually take my business anywhere. I've actually started my own business, and I would like to get 15 minutes of your time so I can show you how my business can help your business. Can I get 15 minutes, Mr. Customer? Oh, no, I don't want to give you 15 minutes. But I've been your customer now for the last 10 years. Oh, no, I don't want to give you 15 minutes. Okay, no problem, because there's tons of dry cleaners in town. I'll just go find a dry cleaner that I can do business with that will give me 15 minutes to look at what I have, right? To be my friend, I'm not saying you have to buy what I have. I'm saying to be my friend, you need to give me 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes so I can at least show you what I have to see if we can do business together. So having a warm lead contact list is huge. If you don't know anybody, then you want to sit down with people that you do know. Hey, who do you know that runs a restaurant? See, understand when you're asking for a referral, if you say, who do you know that I should call on, that's a lot different than saying, who do you know that runs a restaurant or manages a restaurant or that's worked at a restaurant for a very long time? Who do you know that, do you have any tattoos? Where'd you get your tattoo done? Who's the owner over there? How long ago did you get your tattoo? Do you know any other tattoo places I should talk to? Who do you know that's trying to grow their business right now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So these are the types of questions that I want to ask. Again, if there are fields you want to get into, what church do you go to? Is that a growing church? Is there a lot of stuff going on over there? Awesome. Who's the person that you would talk to about something like this over there? That's a lot different than who do you know? So ask those questions, but ask your friends and make a list of warm leads. Again, you've got a free demo call script, which we're going to talk about second to last. Even when you're talking to your friends, that's when it's more important than ever that you follow the basic rules of engagement. Okay? Do yourself a favor, do them a favor, and just go through the scripts, go through the pitch books, go through all the tools that we have for anybody else. And if you want to do an app for your friend at a discount, it's important that you show them what everybody else would be paying so that they can understand that the price that you're giving them is actually a discount. Mm-hmm. So, 2 different names lists. Okay, now we're on the feature list. There are 3 different types of features that we have. It's important for you to understand, even if you don't understand every single feature. It's important for you to understand that even though we have 20, 30, 40, 50 features and growing all the time, they all can be put into 3 separate categories. The first type of feature is a website tab, because you can connect to any website out there. If I'm going to do a sports bar, I might have a tab inside of the app for ESPN or CBS Sportsline, something like that. If it's a school, I might have the weather channel inside of there so that the kids know it's going to be freezing today really easily by checking the school app, and they don't come to school not dressed appropriately. Literally, that was one of the things that the schools were interested in, was having the local weather in there just for that reason. They actually keep extra clothing in the office, and of course they've got the lost and found for the kids that come to school that are not dressed appropriately. They can give them more stuff. So you can connect, number one, you can connect any website. Number two, you can also connect parts of a website. So as I mentioned, we've sold a lot of schools. In doing so, of course we're going to connect the school website, but do you know how much information is in the school website? Like 1,000 things.
Yeah.
I don't want people to have to necessarily go through 1,000 things to find the most important stuff. So let's put the website in there, but then let me ask you, what are the most important things in the website? Oh my God, the lunch menu. Oh my gosh, the bus schedule. Oh my gosh, whatever this is, or that, the link you can go to check grades. Great. So let's connect the website. Let's also connect the lunch menu. Let's also connect the bus schedule. Let's also connect the grade thing, so that you can just hit a button and go right to any one of those. And you can do all of that with a website tab. In addition to that, we have a shopping cart. And we've actually got a new merchandise tab that's coming out, hoping to have it in our hands this week. But we've got a shopping cart where a business can have, 300 items or 3,000 items for sale inside of the app. And that's great. But if they already have a website, and on their website they already have the 50 items that they have for sale on their website, well then, that means that we can connect their website shopping cart to the app. If they have Open Table, which is a food reservation system that a lot of restaurants use, especially the fancy restaurants, they all use Open Table. You can actually, because we have our own restaurant reservation system, you can actually connect the reservation system they have on their website. The reason you would want to do that is because you don't want them to have two stores that they've got to manage. You don't want them to have two reservation schedules that they've got to manage. Now, when our new merchandise tab comes out, our new shopping cart, you will have a reason to go in there and try and sell them out of the shopping cart they're currently using into ours, where they can save money. They can get, we'll give them a website that they're going to be able to do all that, but it'll also be inside of the app. So there will be a need for that. But just generically speaking, if they already have food ordering and they're really happy with it, if they've got a shopping cart, they don't want to change. If they've got a food menu and it's already on their website, connect it to the app using a website tab. Takes 3 seconds. Which also then tells you, just on the topic of the menu, is a lot of times people will ask, how do you do this? How do you do that? A lot of times there are 3 different ways to do whatever the task is. So a menu, for instance, they may have the menu on their website. You can connect that with a website tab. They may have their menu in the form of a PDF on their website. Great. You can get the PDF link and you can add the website to the app as using a PDF link or a PDF tab. They may not have a menu at all, and you might build a menu inside of the app. Or maybe they've got a menu on their website, but the website's not optimized, so you build it inside of the app. So those are all different ways of doing this one particular thing. Okay, next on the list is the information tab. So the key there is, number 1, you can have an unlimited number of websites connected to the app. Number 2, you can have an unlimited number of information tabs inside of the app. You can have an unlimited amount of information inside of the app. So, it's neat because I had the most information pages I've ever used or ever done. It was a day spa in Orlando. And what they had was 82 different services. And we had a page for each service. It had a picture up top. It had a description with pricing. 82 of them. They were all organized together in one tab called Services. So you clicked Services, then you had red services, blue services, green services. You click on green services, and it's like you then have got a list of green services. You go to the blue services, and it breaks it down into 2 other lists, and then you've got those 2 lists. You click on the actual item, boom, the page opens up. So whether you have a single info page that has hours of operation, the address and parking instructions, or whether you have 82 pages in there, you can have an unlimited amount of information inside of the app. The third type of feature the third type of tab is a feature tab. And a feature tab is something that only does what it does. It doesn't do something else. Photo gallery? Yep, it's a photo gallery. That's all it does. The punch card? Yep, loyalty. Buy 10, get 1 free. It doesn't make eggs. It's just a punch card. Scratch card? Yep, the scratch card is awesome. The term when it comes to the scratch card is gamification. Gamification. Because with the scratch card, you're talking about like the lottery. The last time I went to a 7-Eleven, as I was walking in the door, there was a guy inside. It was late at night. He was in there and he was doing scratch-off cards one after the other. I went in, I looked for a drink, I looked for a snack, I went up to the counter, I paid for my stuff, and when I left the store, the guy was still there scratching scratch cards. You know why? He is addicted to the process. Right? So the scratch card gives people an opportunity to tap into a fun zone inside of their ethos. So the scratch card is a great loyalty program. It's a great thing to show when you're going to do a demo. Whether it's in the demo that you're showing the customer or whether it's in an existing app, you always want to make sure you have at least one app where you can show the scratch card and how it works. Mortgage calculator, all it does is the mortgage calculator. So the feature tabs, we've got a bunch of them. The list is constantly growing, but they only do one thing. Typically what I'll do is I'll listen to my customer, to what they're interested in, to what they want, what they're trying to accomplish. And literally I will take these 3 types of tabs and I will just try and twist them and turn them and do whatever I can do to get those things to be, to do what I want them to do for the customer. So you have to think outside of the box sometimes, more than one way to skin a cat. But there's so many different things I can do with those features. And just understand this. Again, Starbucks, Domino's, Bank of America, they've got $1 million wrapped up inside of their mobile app. These people, we're talking about $1,500. The average person's paying $140,000. Some people, when you're talking about $1,500 and $100 a month, some people are going to bitch and moan about the money. If you're bitching and moaning about the money, whatever you do, do not ask for things that we don't have as part of our regular feature set. Because when you think about it, if an app costs $140,000 and customizing that app can send it up into the $1 million range, what happens if your customer starts looking at all the amazing stuff that we can offer and they say, yeah, that's not enough. I want things to really be custom to my business. You know, can your app, you know, make eggs and scratch my back and rub my feet? No, it can't. Is that something that you're interested in? Oh my God, I can't live without it. Okay, well, what is your budget? Oh, $5. Oh, well, you can't have it. Period. And that's when you got to start explaining. This is what apps cost. This is what the big guys are paying. What we have is we have a platform that is extremely versatile and allows us to do a mobile app for any type of business. I'm going to say it again. What do we have? Where do we stand in this industry? we have a platform that is very versatile because we've got tons of features, which allows us to be everything or anything to anyone, right? We can go out and do the chiropractor, the school, or the ice cream shop. We can do the church or the hospital or the lemonade stand. Any one of those businesses, we can put something together for. So understand, like for instance, this is a perfect story. We sold an app to a pizza place. 2 weeks later, the sales rep and the customer called me on the phone. I answered. Hey, Ken. Hey, what's happening? Hey, I'm here with this guy. I can't remember his name. It was 70 years ago. I'm here with this customer. And do you have the Domino's app on your phone? Might have been Papa John's. Yeah, I have it on my phone. Great. Can you open that up? Well, now hold on. To be fair, yes, I can. However, I'm not going to. Well, I don't understand. Well, here's the deal. That's $1 million app. That's a Ferrari. Your customer has a $1,500 app. That's a Toyota. Toyotas are wonderful cars. Super dependable. You can drive it for 125 or 175,000 miles or even more. But you know what we cannot do? We cannot get the steering wheel from a Ferrari and put it inside of a Toyota. Because the steering wheel from the Ferrari costs more than the Toyota. When I told them that story, they said, got it. And away went their questions. Literally, the conversation was over. So there are times that you will have to put your customer in their place. And it's not that you're being mean. It's just that you understand the realities of the situation. That we have a $1,500 app. And if you want everything exactly the way that you want it, you might be talking like your Starbucks, and that could send you into the $1 million range. Now also understand this. At Mass Mobile, we do custom apps. So if you've got a customer that's looking for a $25,000, $50,000, $150,000 app, we can do it. But before we even have that conversation, you've got to know that the majority of times that I've had this conversation, I've been wasting my time with the customer. I've heard the question, or I've heard the statement, what we're looking for is an app just like Uber, but only for motorcycle tow trucks. And it's like, okay, we can do that. Well, how much would that be? Well, let's see. To do an app just like Uber, and now I've forgotten, it's been so long. But it's like we can do that for $25,000 or $50,000 or something like that. And each person that we had this conversation with, that was out of their budget. So before you leave that conversation and think about contacting me or Ali about a custom feature, or hold on the custom features. But before you start talking to us about a custom app, ask your customer, what is your budget? And if their budget is not $15,000 or more, there's really no conversation to be had. Now, let's talk about custom features really quickly. Because if your customer is interested in a custom feature just for their business, that is something that we can do. Take a bunch of notes, find out exactly what they want the feature to do, exactly how it's going to work, ask a bunch of questions, and then come to us and let us get a quote for that feature. They're going to have to pay for it. We might chip in paying for it. You know, if it turns out that it's a feature for restaurants and everyone's going to be able to benefit from it, great. Then maybe we'll go half with them. Maybe we'll pay for the whole thing. But if they want something that nobody else is going to be able to use, they're going to pay for it. And it might be a situation that we can do that feature for $750. So if you're talking about a $1,500 app with a $750 bump, that's still not a lot of money. So when it comes to custom features, it's something that we've done. That's one of the reasons that the number of features that we have continues to grow in number, in complexity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we are happy to have that conversation. Okay, so those are the different types of features that we have. And we do have feature lists. So get yourself familiar with the feature lists and the different stuff that we have out there. And make sure that you have 1, 2, or 3 apps that you know inside and out. You know, we continuously show the app for Denim Industries because that one is always on the front line of evolution as far as the different features that we have. So I would always have that as part of my toolbox. And then keep in mind, if you go see a doggy daycare, you don't have to have a doggy daycare app to be able to go make that presentation. I would be happy to go make that presentation having the demo that we put together for them, and I show them Denim Industries, and I show them a pizza place, and I show them a tattoo parlor. And what I'm saying is, oh yeah, we have a platform that is so versatile, it allows us to be able to service all these different types of industries. Here, let me show you what we did for a doggy daycare. Hey, let me show you what we did for a clothing store. Hey, this is what we did for this automotive place, etc., etc., etc. And now, let me show you the demo that we put together for you. So from that standpoint, that's one of the benefits of having a demo. When you are working 3 industries like we talked about before, you're going to find that you're going to tattoo parlors again and again and again. You're going to dog grooming places again and again and again. You're going to parks and recreation departments again and again and again. Guess what? If you go see 10 doggy daycare places, they all know each other. Guess what? If you go to see 10 tattoo people, they all know each other. Guess what? If you go see 10 parks and recreation departments, not only do they all know each other, they're all part of the same organization. So, one of the neat things about it is you're going to be able to say, let me show you what we did for your buddy over here at Pooler Recreation Department. Let me show you what we did over here at Garden City Parks and Recreation. Let me show you what we did over here at this one and that one and the other. Oh, I know Joe over there. Yep, I talked to Joe. I'm actually getting back with him on Wednesday. So let's go ahead and get you set up. It really gives you credibility when you're able to name drop, and that's one of the reasons that we want to focus on 3 industries. Okay, so now we're down to the closing document. The closing document, I'm going to read. We have the closing document. Then there are also notes that go along with the closing document that are word for word of what to say when you're actually going through the close. The closing document is the second most important piece of the puzzle to practice. Don't waste time. See, here's what's going to happen. You go in there and you warm up your customer. Oh, beautiful weather. How about the Cleveland Browns? Yay! So you have your warm up. Oh, so how do you guys advertise? Tell me about your business. Okay. Oh, yeah, so you know Joe over there, and you know Peter, Paul, and Mary over there. Okay, great. Now, let's answer some of your questions. Let's go through the presentation. Let me show you your demo. Let me show you some other apps. Let me beat around the bush because I'm afraid to close. Okay, let me get to the close. Let me ask for the money. Oh, the customer is hemming and hawing. I'm trying to, not hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to be too direct because, I'm afraid to close. And the last thing in the world I want to hear is no. So if I don't ask for them to buy, then I don't have to hear no. So I'm stalling and stalling and stalling. And now you get down to the money. You don't have a second of time to waste. Because now an appointment that they thought was going to take 15 minutes, you're now at 48 and a half minutes. So your customer is going to say something like, I got to get back to work, but I want to think on this. I want to sleep on this. Let me give you a call back next week sometime. This looks really interesting. Translation, no.
No.
So instead, what you want to do is you want to be there's a word, I can't remember. You want to be mindful of the customer's time. You want to be mindful of your own time. Just think of it this way. If every appointment you go into, if you think and you express to your customer that I've got 5 appointments today, that means I can't move in and just hang out and enjoy the toasty warm weather that you've got inside of your business here on a freezing cold day. Okay? So don't waste time. Get in there, find out how they do their advertising, how long they've been doing it, how business is going. Have those conversations, warm up, do your presentation, get down to the end. Here's the money. Can I earn your business when I'm out here with you today? Yes, no, or maybe. And then you literally want to go to this closing document and the words that it tells you to say, because it will word for word tell you exactly what to say so that you're not beating around the bush. Can I earn your business when I'm out here with you today? Well, what is it that's holding you back? Well, okay, look, my dad was in sales for 50 years, and he always told me that when you showed the customer something and they really, 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 really liked it, but they didn't buy it, it was always going to come down to one of 4 different reasons. So, Mr. Customer, is it the company? Did my company do something to upset you? Company's fine. Great. Is it me? Did I do something to upset you? You're fine. Great. Is it the product? Do you see the value? Is it something that you'd like to have? Can you see how you can use this tool, this hammer, to grow your business? Okay, the product is great. Okay, again, my dad told me if it wasn't one of those 3 that was the problem, it was always going to come down to the money. Mr. Customer, is it the money? Is that what's holding you back? Yes. Aside from the money, is there anything else that's holding you back? No. So then what you're telling me is that if this was free, I would already be driving down the street with a signed contract, right? That's right. Great. Let me clarify my thinking. All of those words that I just said are written down for you to memorize, and those are the notes of the closing document. I am not going to hem. I am not going to haw. Not right now. So I'm going to follow that word for word, and those words lead up to me pulling out that magical document called the closing document. I pull that out, and what it allows me to do, it allows me to write the money down on a piece of paper so that we can discuss exactly where their issue is. On this side of the piece of paper, $1,500, $750 down, $750 in 5 to 15 days. On this side of the piece of paper, $100 a month, you get this whole long list of things for it. When you say that the money is more than you anticipated, are you talking about this side of the piece of paper or this side of the piece of paper? Use your flipping ears. Typically what you'll hear at this point is, no. The $100 a month is fine. Great. I'm going to put a check mark, a star. I'm going to cross it out. Something. This side of the piece of paper we're done with. And in my mind, what I'm thinking is, sale. Why? Because if they just told me the $100 a month is no problem, all we got to do now is take the $1,500 and make sure that it's something that they can stomach. Let's figure out how we're going to break this thing up and make it affordable for you. Okay, so if this side of the piece of paper is fine, that takes us back to this side of the piece of paper. So, Mr. Customer, and the notes in the for the closing document say you got to use their words exactly. So, Mr. Customer, when you said it was more than you anticipated, what's the problem on this side of the piece of paper? It's $1,500, it's $750 today, it's $750 in 5 to 15 days. Oh, you know what? I failed to mention, we accept credit cards. We accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. Don't you think they know what the credit cards are? Of course they know what the credit cards are. As I say the words, Visa, MasterCard, as I'm saying those words, what are they doing? They are processing. They are thinking. Give them the time to think. Because we take those credit cards, this is my first drop. Because we take those credit cards, that means you can put half on the Visa, you can put the other half on the MasterCard. For all I care, you can take that other half and break it up and put half on the Discover and half on the American Express. When our customers do that, it provides a tremendous amount of flexibility. Utilizing that flexibility, can I earn your business while I'm out here with you today? Him-haw, him-haw. Okay, if the credit cards aren't going to work, when you're talking about the $750 down, the $750 upon completion in 5 to 15 days, what's the challenge here? What doesn't work for you? Well, my freezer just went out. I can write you a check for $300 today, and in 2 weeks on Thursday, I can actually write you a check for the whole rest of the year. Let me find my pen and start writing that down. Sold. We have a deal. You see, when we first got started and we didn't have a closing document, we didn't offer any pricing flexibility, we went in and said to every customer, $1,500, $100 a month, $750 today, $750 in 5 to 15 days, that or I'm leaving. We had a customer who was like, oh yeah, oh geez, the money, oh, ooh, it hurts. So we were like, $1,500, that hurts, huh? Okay, how about $1,250? Geez, wow, still hurts. How about $1,000? Gosh, look, $1,000 is great, but that's not the problem. The problem is that my freezer just went out. The new freezer was delivered 30 minutes before you got here. I just wrote a check for $8,722.86. I can write you a check for $150 today. I can give you all of the rest of the money on the 15th for the whole year. Now look, I'll take your $1,000 price, but that wasn't the problem. Lesson learned. Never again. So I don't care what the deal is you come up with. Just write it down on the piece of paper. But the closing document is everything. Again, the second most important piece for you to practice. And you do not practice that before you get started. Actually make your names list. Just be aware of the closing document. But actually go out there and set an appointment. Once you have an appointment set, now you can get into the closing document. And really, I don't care what you do on your very first appointment. Just on your first appointment, just go out there and do it. Because once you actually do it live in front of another human being that's not your friend, family, whatever, a lot of things are going to fall into place where you can really, really start practicing your closing document after that first presentation. I mean, again, once you create your first appointment, then start studying your pitch book hard. Start studying your closing document hard. But once you get into that first presentation and it's done, you're going to feel so much better because you're going to know what you know and you're going to know what you don't know and where to focus. So nothing is written here on the topic. But as I say to you, the second most important piece to practice is the closing document. Let me say also, the least important thing to practice is the sales presentation. If you've seen the sales presentation, you know it's a joke. All you're doing is looking at the page, seeing the words, reading the words, and going to the next page. Literally, the sales presentation is reading the book and telling 2 or 3 stories based on how short or how long your stories are, and then getting to the place where you can close and ask for the money. So you're not going to have to study that. The next thing there, it says 100 prospects, yes or no. I have not made a document. I need to make a document. So I will make a document. But one of the things I suggest you do is to make a list of 100 businesses that you're going to go see, and then just you want to just keep a record of whether they said yes or no. Maybe it's even yes, maybe, or no. And if it's a maybe, then you're obviously following up with them. But it'll be really good for you to actually go and see 100 people and then record what their answers are. I had a conversation with someone a long time ago, and they were asking me, again and again, they were asking me how much money the average person made selling mobile apps. And I thought, well, the average person makes $0. Because the average person never goes to work. I mean, this is commission sales. You go and hire 10 people to get 3 people that are going to go to work. There's 4 people that will go out and get their flyers made, yet they'll never actually go and make a presentation. I would say that the average person quits before actually ever doing a presentation, before actually ever hearing no. So if you're talking about the average person that actually goes out and goes to work, that's a whole nother conversation. The conversation I'd like to have is, how much money do the people make that actually go out there and do 100 presentations and have their customers say yes or no? That's an animal right there. That's a worker bee. That's a grinder. That's someone that's actually going out there working the program. Someone like that is making a considerable amount of money. So again, test yourself. If you're going to go out and give this thing a fair shake, if you're going to actually go out there and do this thing, make yourself a list as you're going out there and seeing people. So these are the people you've actually done presentations for, and keep a running record. When I see my first 10 people and my first 10 people said yes or no, did I get at least 3 out of those 10 people to buy? Right? Make a list of the first 100 businesses and track if they said yes or no. 30% is an average producer's closing rate, even for a new rep. That means your very first week out in the field, you go out and schedule 15 appointments. You do 10 presentations, you should expect to close at least 3 of those 10. Your second 10 that you go out and see, you should be better. You should be looking to close 4. And I am not talking about cherry picking my appointments either. I'm talking about, and that's what we're going to get into with the next thing, the free demo call script. I'm just talking about going out there, seeing people, making your presentation, showing them how flexible you can be with your pricing, and showing them how valuable of a tool this can be for their business. Now that we have the container app, now that we have the opportunity to sell them an app that can go inside of the container app for $350, $500, $750, yeah, I mean, you should really be able to close at an even higher percentage than that. So if you've got 100 people that you go make a presentation to, you damn well better have at least 30 of those people that you sold an app to. And now that you know what the numbers are, get ready. You might want to close your ears if you're going to quit before you get started. I'm going to assume that your ears are closed if you're soft on the inside with a creamy nougat center. And that is the following. That you probably don't, if you're going to quit, then don't make a list. Because if you make a list, you're not going to, by making a list, what you're doing is you're looking in the mirror. And the average person quits before they hear no. They quit before they hear no 3 times. That is for damn sure. So if you start making a list and you want to quit, what I want to hear from you, my question for you is, do you have a list of 10 people that you went and made a fair presentation to, worked with them on the money? Do you have a list of 10 people that have said no to you? Because what I'm showing you here is if you go see 10 people your very first week, you should have 7 people saying no. Because that gives you 3 that are saying yes. So my question is, before you quit, have you had 10 people tell you no? Because if the answer is no, I don't have 10 people that have said no, you never even gave this thing a shot. You quit before you even got started. Okay, let's get to the most important part of this whole thing, and that is the free demo call script. This is the most important piece to the entire puzzle. Why? Simple. If you don't have an appointment, none of the other stuff matters. So the most important thing to practice when you're first getting started is the free demo call script. The most important part of the free demo call script, you do not answer questions. You're going through the free demo call script, they ask a question. My goodness, hold on a second. That is a phenomenal question. Let me write that down. Just give me 1 second. Got it. That's a great question. And you know what? When I come back on Wednesday or Thursday with the demo that we're going to put together for you, I'm not going to answer your question with words. I'm actually going to show you the answer. My mom always used to say, picture's worth 1,000 words, and I found that selling apps, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So that's a great question. When I come back, I'm speaking things into existence. When I come back to do your back office training, when I come back with your completed app, when I come back with your free demo, this is what's going to happen. When I come back with your free demo, I'm not only going to answer that question, but I'm going to show you the answer. Not just in your demo, but I've got 2 other apps that I'm going to show you at that time, and we're going to be able to cover all of that. Now that I didn't answer your question, let me get right back into my pitch. I'm in the middle of my free demo script, my free demo call script. The reality is, if you practice this thing 100 times, then literally, if they ask a question and you get thrown off and you write it down and you say the things that I just said, you know your script so darn well that it's nothing for you to be able to get right back into it exactly where you were. And that's what you need to do. When you do so, you're showing your customer that you are not fazed by the question they asked. That question didn't scare you. You can't wait to get back here on Thursday afternoon so that you can what? So you can show them the answer. Answer no questions. If you answer 3 questions, the 4th question is how much is it? I am not afraid of the price. But if you were selling cars, I bet you would get fired if you told the price before the test drive. Every car you've purchased, they allow you to get emotionally invested in the car by taking you on a test drive first. Ooh, do you feel that Corinthian leather? Ooh, do you like that new car smell? Ooh, look at all those cool buttons and gadgets. Isn't that fantastic? Great. Now let's go get back inside, sit down at a table, and let's talk turkey now that I have you in a place where your endorphins are rushing through your body like you just had a kiss with Pamela Anderson. Well, I shouldn't say Pamela Anderson since she's no longer around. I guess that tells you
you're telling your age now.
how long it's been since I've seen a movie or a TV show. Jennifer Aniston is who I was actually thinking about because she seems to be timeless at this point. So I'll just stick with Jennifer Aniston. So literally, the free demo call script, what I suggest to people is go lock yourself in a room and look at the piece of paper and read it out loud. You're looking at it, that's sight, that's one of your senses. You can hear yourself saying it, that's the sound, that's another one of your senses, and the more senses you can get involved, the faster and the easier it's going to be for you to ingest, digest, and become part of the free demo call script. So literally no fewer than 100 times. It really is a short thing, and when you break it down, all it is, hey, this is who I am, this is the company that I represent. What we do is make mobile apps for small businesses. The reason that I'm here is that we're making a free demo for every single business in the entire state. You know what? We're not charging you. Even though it's going to cost us time and money, we're not charging you. What we're doing is we're going to do this for you for free, just in exchange for 15 or 20 minutes of your time. Mr. Customer, can we have an agreement on that? That's fair enough, isn't it? Is that fair enough? It's really neat, and actually write this down. I've been in what am I? I'll be 51 in a couple months, assuming I can make it through this freezing cold winter. And I started formal sales at 15, and I remember being like 35, so I got 20 years of sales under my belt. And I remember thinking to myself, why is it, or how is it that I've been in sales for 20 years and I don't just have like a closing line? Like, shouldn't I have a closing line with all the different sales processes that I've been through? And I didn't. And then one day I heard one and I picked it up and I've had it ever since. And it applies to anything that you're selling. And the closing line is the following. That's fair enough, isn't it? That's fair enough, isn't it? That's fair enough, isn't it? It'll work with anything, and it's like a soft pedal. It's not like you're hitting someone in the face. That's fair enough, isn't it, Mr. Customer? So I like to use that one when I'm doing my demo. Again, we're going to make the free demo. We're going to get that put together in just a day. It's not going to cost you anything. All we're looking for is 10, 15, 20 minutes of your time just to get your opinion on the free demo that we put together for you. Now that's fair enough, isn't it, Mr. Customer? Is that fair enough? There's 10 different ways that you could write it, say it, whatever, but the premise of that is something that I want to equip you with, which I wish someone would have equipped me with long ago. So again, the free demo call script, you're reading it out loud to yourself. Once you've been reading it out loud to yourself, you think you know it, then stop looking at it and try and say it, and you're going to be able to say half of it, and then you're going to miss. You're going to look at the paper. You're going to try it again, on and on and on and on and on until you know it. Then, after you've done that a bunch of times, get a family member, a neighbor, a friend, get like a snowman that you have for your Christmas decorations, and actually role play with someone. And let that person be the customer, and have them. Sometimes they're going to go through and they're going to be a laydown. Sometimes they're going to go through and they're going to ask you several questions. If they ask you 3 questions, what great practice that is to be able to not answer it, write it down, remember it, or however, and get right back into your presentation. That's what you want. Have them try and throw you off. So they want to go from being really hard to being really easy or whatever it is. The bottom line is, when it comes to the free demo call script, and the reason why that and the closing document are 1 and 2 for the 2 most important documents that we're going to use, the 2 things that you need to memorize, is because when it comes right down to it, and here it is, when it comes right down to it, we are making 2 separate sales when doing this. 2 different sales. Number 1, we've got to sell the appointment. Number 2, we're selling the app. You've got to know that I'm going to stand here and I'm going to fight you tooth and nail to get this appointment. And you know what? The reason why they may be fighting you so hard is because every time they look at a sales presentation, they buy. Also, when you're out setting appointments, you want to have your phone with you, and you want to have a particular app. And I'm typically using the same app, and I know it forwards and backwards. It's Denim. It's whichever one. And then once you've got your own app sold, you're going to stop using Denim, and you're going to use your own local apps to show. But I'm going to use that over and over and over again. So they may ask me a question that I can avoid until we come back. And they may ask me a question that's pivotal to me even being able to set the appointment. And if that's so, I'm going to say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me just show you what we did for Denim Industries. This is a clothing store in Toronto. And I'll take them into the app, and I'll show them X, Y, and Z. And then I'm going to go right back into my free demo call script and talk about when I come back out here on Wednesday with your free demo. At that point in time, we're going to be able to go through everything. Now, Mr. Customer, that's fair enough, isn't it? Well, I wanted to ask more questions. Look, I understand that you're interested and you've got a ton of questions. Really, that's fantastic. But you know what? You're busy. I'm busy. I didn't come here to take all your time. I just came to set up an appointment so that I can come back and we can actually sit down and go through all of this and get all of your questions answered. And what I want to do is I want to give everything to you in a nice, easy to understand format along with your demo. And that's why I'm not answering any of your questions today. So, Mr. Customer, can we go ahead and set up a time for Wednesday or Thursday afternoon where we can get your questions answered? I can show you the free demo. I'll show you some other apps and we'll go from there. Come on, that's fair enough, isn't it? Great. Do you have a business card? Let me get some information from you, blah, 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 blah. So that is my psychology there with the free demo call script and the closing document, the two most important things that you're going to go through. Okay, we're almost done, about to wrap this thing up. The typical day when you're out there and you are doing your deal. The typical day for a full-time rep, and again, I've had this conversation with literally with hundreds of reps or resellers that are going out into the field. The typical day is this. You will go out, you will set 3 to 5 appointments. Obviously, the worst or the best day that I've had, or that I've had one of my reps have, I think is 10 demos in one day. So that's absolutely awesome. So 3 to 5 appointments is what you're out there looking to achieve. On your first day, you may be successful, you may not. On your second day, you may be successful, you may not. By your third day, you should certainly be there. In addition to setting 3 to 5 appointments every day, the expectation is that you're gonna pick up 15 business cards along the way. So you're gonna walk into businesses' doors, and they're gonna say to you, "Yeah, you know what? You need to talk to Joe, and he's at the other location. Here's the address for over there. You got to go over there, and the best times are on Wednesday after 3. You need to email the people. They're actually in Philadelphia. That's where the corporate office is. And the person that you need to talk to, her name is Jan. This is her email. You need to come back in the morning before 10 o'clock because that's when so-and-so is here. You need to come on Friday after 3 because that's when we see all of our people." Literally what you will find when you're getting started, if you will actually go and leave the house and go to market and start going through your list and going next door and all of those wonderful things, literally what you will find is that by the end of that day, you will pick up those 15 business cards. The second day, you will pick up those 15 business cards. The third day, you will pick up those 15 business cards. And now you find yourself in a situation that on the 4th day, you've got to split your time. You got to spend some of your time sending out emails, some of your time making phone calls, some of your time sending out text messages, some of your time going to this location and that location and going next door and going back to see so-and-so that's only there on Wednesdays after 3. So literally on day number 1, if you go out and you set yourself 2 appointments, and now you got to come back and see these people on Wednesday and on Thursday for those 2 appointments. But in addition to that, you had 3 people that said, "Oh, you need to come back and see Steve." before 10 o'clock. Only on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So now you're coming back for an appointment. You're coming back because you've got 2 business cards that said for you to come back on this day and time. And then you're walking into other places, and it starts to snowball. So it's sort of neat how on day 1, the focus is I'm just out here to get business cards and set appointments. Day number 2, I've got some follow-ups. I'm setting some appointments. I'm going back to the same area. I'm going to some new areas, etc., etc. So I tell people the first 3 days you want to be in the field all day, and then after that, that's when you're going to have to vary your time as far as what you're going to be doing and where you're going to be going. The last thing I want to talk about, and I've already mentioned this, so we're literally going to be wrapping up here in 60 seconds or so, is that we're making 2 different sales. You got to sell the appointment. You have to sell the app. Those are 2 dramatically, distinctly different things that we're out there to do. And just remember, just because someone is a really hard appointment set does not mean that they're going to be a hard sale. In fact, one of the funniest type people you're going to run out to, or that you're going to run into, are the people that are like, oh yeah, let's set up an appointment, and then you show back up, and you're there to do the appointment, and they're jackasses. And it's like, well, I don't understand. Why did you set the appointment if you were going to be a jackass? Well, because I'm just a complicated person. But it's all about numbers. Get the names of the people, get the business cards of the people, and once you start doing that and you start gaining some traction, just plan on being a name dropper. The name droppers are going to be some of the best, because what I'm doing when I'm out there talking to people, I am just dropping names. Oh, I was just talking to Joe next door. Oh yeah, I've actually got to come back on Tuesday because I'm meeting with Pam over at that one and Steve over at that one. I can stop back and see you on this day and time. So let me just say with that, whenever we have done a presentation is done, and for whatever reason we did not close it at this day and time, we have to come back and see them at another day and time. When that happens, make sure that when I am following up to get a decision, that follow-up to get a decision is in person. And the way I'm going to do it, because I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to think about it. How about I call you on Tuesday? You know what? Getting me on the phone is next to impossible, because I don't answer my phone when I'm here with you, and I'm seeing 5, 6, 7 people every single day. So the best thing for me, if we're talking about Tuesday, I actually have to go and see Pam over there at 10. I've got to go see Steve over there at 2. So I'm going to be back over here twice on Tuesday. I can stop back and see you Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, which is better for you. Tuesday morning, great. How about this day and time? And when I come back, give them permission to say no. When I come back, you just tell me yes and we get everything written up, or you tell me no. Is that fair enough, Mr. Customer? Now that's fair enough, isn't it, Mr. Customer? Come on, is that fair enough? That's fair enough, isn't it? So that is my psychology moving forward. Okay, we've covered a lot of great information going through this list. I tried to be as comprehensive as possible because we've done this over and over and over again. But if you can cross these T's, if you can dot these I's, you're going to find yourself prepared. And if you're prepared, then all you have to do is put yourself in the position where you are in front of numbers. As long as you are in front of numbers, you are cooking with gas. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and end this recording. Have a great day and good luck getting started.